After a rough game one against the Rangers, Mariners take the series. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the series analysis episode of the Seattle Baseline Podcast. My name is Julian Smith, and I'm with Alex Hong. You know what? First game, I go and watch it. No runs scored, and I'm thinking to myself, this is the Mariners now. We don't score any runs again. We're like the 2024 Seattle Mariners, and we lost all of the offense that we had in 2025, but with a great pitching staff. Turns out the Mariners were going to put up two good pitching performances and two good offensive performances as well during that same series. So Mariners take the series against the Texas Rangers. I could not be more happy because Mariners got swept last time, scoring 1 run per game on average. This time they scored 4 runs per game on average. And last episode, what did we say? We said that if the Mariners score 4 runs per game in the whole season, they get in the playoffs and they go really far. They can make the World Series that way. So, Alex, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I'm sure you're very, very happy.
Yeah, I mean, it couldn't have been possibly worse, right, than the last Ranger series. That was because the San Diego sweep was nowhere near as bad as the Rangers sweep. The Rangers sweep was a terrible. It looked like we had no chance. It looked like we were a minor league team against a major league team. So yeah, pretty good things. But I agree with you. After the first game, I was really worried. I was like, oh my God. Well, 5-0 loss, offense did nothing. But they turned it around and got the series win. So it's pretty good.
I'd love to know, Alex. Um, the thing that stuck out to me was the offense. So I want to know like who you think is like the biggest contributor. What's the most important thing that you think the offense did this series that they didn't do in the previous series that you saw?
They got hits. I mean, it's gonna be as simple as that, right? You don't get hits, you're not gonna win games. So, and another thing is, I think they struck out a lot less than they did against in the first time. First time I remember there was a game where there were so many strikeouts, it was crazy. I think the second game, which was I think the best game we had, they only struck out like 8 times or so. It was crazy because 8 times the entire game. Sometimes in the past we've had like I don't know, it's like an inning of 3 strikeouts and such. So it was a lot better that way. So if you don't strike out, you put the ball in play, you at least have a chance to get a hit, right? If you strike out, you have no chance. If you get put it in play, something can happen, right? So that's where the offense, it improves a lot. Not striking out, limiting the strikeouts, which this team has a problem with striking out. We've seen it before. So I think that's a good thing they did this series.
So, with that being said, we're talking about average and on base percentage. I'm going to read you a stat and I want you to guess who this player is. 450 average, 500 on base, and 800 slugging. This is a Mariner.
Sorry, 450 on base.
450 average, 500 on base,
Oh.
and 800 slugging.
Oh God. Wait, and it's from just this season. This entire season?
It's from this week, last seven
Oh, in
games.
the last 7 games?
Yeah.
Oh God.
This is also a player that's been really, he's been top top 10 for the whole season.
It's got to be Luke Rayleigh then, right?
It
He's
is.
been our best player.
Yep. So Luke Rayleigh is getting on base half the time. This is a hit or miss guy that's gonna try to hit home runs and strike out a bunch. No, he doesn't. He hits 500 on base this week, and he is slugging 800 because he's hitting homers with that on base percentage. So Luke Rayleigh continues to mash in in the Mariners. And another guy, Randy Arozarena, hit another homer today. he's continuing to get on base. The Mariners have players that are getting on base over 400 and 500. That's the key difference that Jerry Dipoto was pointing at, and that's what like us two we've been trying to think about how the Mariners could get this type of on base percentage. And Luke Raley's done that. Randy Rosarena's done that. Brendan Donovan's done that. It's it's really been incredible to watch a few of the Mariners players really break out this season. Luke Raley, especially, this is a guy that we didn't expect to be at this level early on. And Randy Rosarena, he's getting old, but he's been putting in his work, and his on base percentage is higher than it usually is than he was with the Tampa Bay Rays. So there are Mariners that are certainly improving, and despite some Mariners like Julio Rodriguez and Cal Raleigh, Josh Naylor as well, the star players aren't performing, but you see these guys in the background that are absolutely starting to become some of the best players in the league because the 500 on base, getting half of the time being on base, that's what Aaron Judge did last season when he won MVP. And
Mhm.
that's exactly what you need to be doing. Because if you're not on base, as Alex just said, then you're wasting it out. You have no chance. So I'm really impressed with some of these Mariners, and I hope they continue to do that.
Yeah, I'm not as concerned about Julio's been pretty decent, I'd say. He's been pretty good. It's not like last end of season Julio, but he's been above average. He's like a player we can, work with. Naylor's been improving, I think, in the last few games. I think I've been liking what I'm seeing. I'm pretty sure he'll get back up there. Cal, I'm worried about because he hasn't been playing well in the last even 7 games or the few games he's played. So I'm a little more concerned about that. I really want to see something from Cal. And it's not just the fact that, like, even if, like, I understand last year was like an aberration for Cal, but I'm not seeing even the stuff I saw 2 years ago with him right now. So that's why I'm a little concerned there. But yeah, offense will definitely get a lot better once Brendan Donovan gets back in the lineup consistently, right? He's a big boost. I still want them to try to have Rayleigh play against lefties. I just want to see what happens, okay?
Yeah.
Even if nothing good happens, I want to see what happens. Just because now I'd rather know now than to know later in the season that he can't hit if he can't, right? So, especially because he has this momentum. I mean, he's playing like a rock star, like you said. Like, I just want to see how it goes.
I mean, question for you, Alex, because when we were talking about this, we were talking about Connor Joe, who's clearly not had his at bats, and he started today, and I'm really mad at that. Even we won, but we're kind of mad at the decision to put in Connor Joe as a starter. Now that we have Rob Refsnyder back, what's your opinion on pulling Luke Raley or Dom Canzone, or should it only be Dom Canzone that's pulled for Rob Refsnyder and then Luke Raley stays in the lineup?
Well, okay, the Connor Joe was a little more understandable today because I think they gave Naylor an off day. And because Donovan's not in the lineup right now, there was no one else to put. So that one I kind of understand because Ref Snyder I know can't hit. Like Ref Snyder I know needs to be taken out. So if you're gonna start Ref Snyder, then you need someone who can hit for him. Like you need a Rayleigh to come off the bench to be able to hit for him. Because I definitely don't trust. We've seen Ref Snyder not be able to hit against righty, so I understand that point. So I actually wasn't too upset about the Connor Joe decision, considering if today was intended for a Josh Naylor rest day. But you bring up an interesting point, right? And going forward, we're gonna have Rayleigh, Ref Snyder. It's gonna be and damn Dom Canzone, and Rayleigh and Canzone kind of play similar, right? I'm fine taking either Canzone or Rayleigh out for Ref Snyder, but probably no one else. At that
Mm,
point, I just want to keep him there. I
yeah.
can trust Rayleigh and well, maybe I don't know if I trust these guys yet because I haven't seen anything. They haven't let them hit, right? But for now, I would let them. I would probably take one of them out for Ref Snyder, like especially if it's late in the game, and then see how it goes, and then leave the other guy in. But if so, my conclusion is if we're starting Canzone and Rayleigh that day, I'm open to taking one of them out for Ref Snyder,
Yeah, that makes
especially if
sense.
it's late in the game.
That makes total sense. With Victor Robles out right now, you have Ref Snyder and Connor Joe, in my opinion, is not the guy that you want to go to, even if it's against a lefty. You'd rather leave Luke Rayleigh in there and see what happens. As you were saying, you Luke Rayleigh hasn't hit against or hasn't had a chance to hit against lefties this year. Who
Yeah.
knows if Mister sixth place in all of baseball for OPS can all of a sudden mash lefties as well. Now you have Aaron Judge from both sides instead of Aaron Judge from one side. So there's there's a possibility of that can happen. And going into this next series against the Athletics, that's going to be huge because the Athletics lineup thrives as a lineup. They have on base percentage, Shea Langoliers is hitting homers, and the biggest issue for them is that they don't have a pitching staff. And so the the Athletics this year have they've way overperformed what their statistics say. The only guy that's been good for them is Shea Langoliers, catcher, as an offensive piece. Their pitchers, they traded away Mason Miller. They don't have a guy that can shut down a lineup the way that Mason would be able to do. And so this series, I want Luke Rayleigh to go out there and mash all of their pitchers.
Yeah, this should be a good offensive performance. His pitching staff is not very good. I mean, it's not as bad as Houston's. Houston's is terrible. Oh my God, they've been awful. But what the Athletics, they're not as good as well. So our pitching should dominate theirs, and therefore, if our offense is competent, we should be able to win these games, right? So that's kind of what I'm looking for there. Um, One more point on the Ref Snyder thing. It's interesting because if we have Ref Snyder in, and I say we put him in late just because then we don't have to worry about taking him out, right? But if we do have to take him out because they changed the pitcher, it's going to be a little difficult for us. So what do you
Yeah.
think about that? Or what do you think about a scenario where I think the scenario is easy if Ref Snyder, if we're against the lefty to start the game, right? Then one of the Canzone or Rayleigh will definitely they'll definitely be on the bench. And especially because in these future situations we'll most likely have what Ref Snyder would be DH, and then eventually we'll probably get Robles back, right? So that might change the outcome. But right now we're kind of in a pickle, especially because Donovan's not here. So this I
Um,
don't think will be what it'll be later down the line.
I think this is where Dan Wilson really needs to start thinking about his players and the opponents. Not just this is the Mariners handbook, let's play exactly to what it says, but more which pitchers are coming out next. We had an instance against the Padres where you pulled Luke Rayleigh because there was a lefty coming on the mound, but Mason Miller's a righty. And so now you lost one of your best offensive pieces. Actually, not just one of your best, your best offensive piece. Your number one offensive piece is off the board against a closer that's been pretty much unhittable for the whole season because you wanted to put a righty against a lefty that was coming up. And that's the situation where Dan Wilson needs to think, hey, if we get past this reliever, then the next one that's coming out is a righty. And you're gonna put yourself in a pickle if you put Rayleigh on the bench. And so that's where, like, to your point, it's gonna get harder because if you put Refsnyder in there for Rayleigh early, then all of a sudden you've lost a piece that you could have used later in the game. And that's where it's not just what are we doing, but what are they looking to do and how can we adapt against that? It's all, in my opinion, that's the part where the coaching staff needs to lock it down.
Yeah, definitely agree. Okay. So think we talked enough about that. With the Athletics, you were talking a little bit earlier. Um, they don't have Rooker, right? But Langliers, he's been amazing. I don't know. I didn't see this one coming, to be honest with you. He's been like the Cal Raleigh of the Mariners last year, right? He's been playing amazing. Um, Kurtz has been playing good recently, so he's going to be a concern. They got some good offensive pieces. We talked about earlier in before the season started how this A's team can be dangerous, and I still think it can be dangerous even without Rooker because I didn't expect Langliers to be this good, right? So, but we cannot fall asleep against the A's for this reason. And we need to be able to continue that offensive production. And it might sound like a broken record. Oh, the offense needs to play well. Like, duh, they have to play well if you want to win this game. Well, especially in series like this, I feel like if you're against a bad pitching staff and your offense doesn't perform, that's not good. That's really bad. It'd be one thing if you were against the best pitchers in the league and your offense doesn't perform and you have to rely on your pitching staff to dominate. That's a pitcher's duel. I don't need the offense to score like 10 runs in those games, but we're against lackluster pitching styles. We need to be able to score runs against them because that's their weakness. We got to take advantage of their weakness.
Yeah. And the Mariners are just the team that can do that. Even though the Mariners have been bad all season offensively, at its core, this is a team that can get on base and they can get him in. They have three guys in the top four of their lineup that can hit homers at a really high level. Julio Rodriguez is a star player because he's able to hit home runs off of balls that are outside of the strike zone. Cal Raleigh hit 60 homers last season. He was the best home run guy last season.
Mhm.
Only two home runs away from Aaron Judge's record. He was two away from the all-time record for home runs. Cal Raleigh's a good home run hitter, or I shouldn't say good, great home run hitter. Julio Rodriguez, 30-30 season last year. He's one of he's one of only 4 or 5 players that have done that in the first 4 seasons. It's 4, right? 4 seasons, right? Julio Rodriguez to start his career. He's
Yeah.
he's one of only 4 or 5 players that have ever done that. He's a good home run hitter as well. Josh Naylor, he's been up and running with home runs. This is a team that can get on base, especially with Naylor getting on base at a 333 clip in the past 7 games. He's been trending upward. Luke Raley, as I mentioned, 500 on base. These guys are getting on base right now. And once we start getting them in, boom, offense. Basically, what we did in the past 2 games is going to happen again against the Athletics. It's just that Athletics aren't as good of a pitching staff as Evaldi and Gore. And so we're going to score like 10 runs on them.
Yeah. I want to talk about the bullpen real quick. We haven't really spoken much about the bullpen because it was such a small sample size. Like in the first like 10 games, like some of these players only came out like 2 or 3 times. But I think we've seen enough to make an assumption and some to make some claims and have our thoughts. So Munoz played really well in the last game. He struck out the side. It was great, right? We need him to continue that. But what I didn't like was, I guess I know we were up a lot and we put Cole Wilcox out there, but he was so bad we had to put Munoz out there. That stuff I don't like to see because then we end up having to waste Munoz just to save a game that we should be able to win. So, do you have any thoughts on that, or is that kind of like a specific situation?
That's more specific situation to me. The concern for me there came from the fact that Munoz has been awful for most of the season so far, especially with the slider. And so the fact that Munoz had to come out, especially in a bases loaded situation with the tying run on at home plate, kind of scared me a little bit. But Cole Wilcox is still developing. He's in my eyes, he's still a prospect. the same way that Troy Taylor was, the same way that like all of these pitchers before they become great, they have to go through the hurdle of major league batting. And Cole Wilcox has been one of the best bullpen pitchers this year, actually.
Mhm.
And this is the first time he's been in a semi leverage situation. And this is, and by leverage, I don't mean like save situation. I mean like he was in a situation where we were up and he was put in to close out the game, basically. So
Yeah.
that's I'm sure that's a different type of nervousness that gets into you in that type of game. And I'm interested to see how Cole Wilcox continues to develop, but I don't see this as an issue. I see this as just developmental stage.
Okay. Some good thoughts there. Any last words, Julian, on this series? I think this is definitely a series we should be able to win so we can build some momentum going in because we not every team we go against is going to be the Padres, right? Who were really good and they're going insane right now. But we have to be able to win against these lesser teams in order to take some losses that are inevitably going to happen against the really good teams.
Um, One of the biggest things to watch for is Munoz's slider. I just mentioned it. I was pretty scared watching Munoz come in at the end of the game with Cole Wilcox basically giving up part of the lead. And I don't want that from my closer. I don't want to feel like I'm not going to be able to close out the game with the best relief pitcher we have in the back end of our bullpen. And
Mhm.
so what he did today, amazing. What he did to shut out the final batter, amazing. So continue to do that. I want to see where his sliders are ending up and how much swing and miss he's able to get. I'm I'm pretty excited to see this series. I think the Mariners are going to thrive against the bad pitching staff again, just like they did with Houston, and they're going to take care of business. All right. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and our beautiful face on YouTube. Check out our Instagram, and as always, go Mariners.
Go Mariners.